After installing more than 11,000 solar photovoltaic or PV panels over 30,000 square meters of rooftops and carports at its Midrand campus, Vodacom South Africa will have implemented the largest on-site solar power generation system in Vodacom Group. But before undertaking the project at its headquarters in Gauteng, which should be finalized by year-end, Vodacom South Africa embarked on an extensive energy efficiency program.
We had a period of around about 8 years where we implemented very deliberate projects within the energy efficiency realm. That resulted in us actually reducing our energy consumption by 54% of what we originally started with. And I think before you actually produce green power or take power from any source, it's to make sure you get as efficient as you possibly can.
The Midrand campus is energy hungry, with a multitude of services on site. The 6.2 megawatt peak solar project will not only reduce demand on the national grid by more than 25% during peak generation periods, but will also allow for an almost 11,000 ton reduction in greenhouse gas emissions annually.
The energy hungriness of this campus does not come from the commercial offices component. It comes from all the other sources like the warehouse, the office, and the data centers itself. The split between the energy consumed on site is 70-30, where 70% of it goes to all other facilities except for the commercial or the office facility. So a lot of what we have incorporated in terms of the actual design is pushed to the energy hungry sections of the actual facility itself.
The Midrand project, which is also the first on-site power purchase agreement or PPA in the Vodafone Group, has progressed ahead of schedule despite logistical challenges.
At the time that we started the actual project, PPAs in the form that we currently have it, or even independent power providers, were not really interested or well developed enough to be able to cater for smaller projects that we currently have, on the campus itself. So I think for me, that was one of the biggest lessons learned in terms of how to forge that partnership and how to approach it. A lot of the partners or IPPs were generally IPPs that wanted to register large projects, with Eskom, and it's generally done at scales. I think another key challenge, which we really thought would push our timelines out, was we had started the project as Eskom had launched stage 4, 5, 6 of load shedding, which meant everybody that we knew were looking for solar panels, inverters, equipment, all of those type of things. So that became a incredible challenge for us to actually ensure that based on the pace of our project, that the supply of all our equipment was coming in at the time. When you think about procuring something just short of 12,000 solar panels to a specific site that needed to come on time when it was ready for those phases to have it installed, it in itself is quite a complex process.
Nonetheless, the three-phase project started in November last year has piqued a lot of interest in the implementation of similar projects across the Vodafone Group.
I think the fact that we've been commissioning it as the phases have been completed, and people are seeing the benefit of it, has been good for us. It's prompted a number of other projects, so definitely feasibility studies being done or completed on all our owned buildings from a Vodacom perspective. So we have targeted installations on some of our office buildings as well as that of our data centers. So quite excited to see how that all comes together.
Vodacom is also discussing the introduction of green leases and practices with the property owners of its leased buildings, which further promotes the planet pillar of its corporate strategy.
Whilst we achieve the greening of our power, we create an education and an awareness around the importance of energy efficiency, conservation, security, and just general day-to-day practices in terms of what everybody can do towards reducing, our impact, to the carbon footprint, to climate change per se, as well as, building a culture that does not have the environment as an add-on, but rather that is integrated within our DNA as we move forward.
Vodacom's next move is to introduce battery energy storage at its Midrand campus to enable the supply of power during load shedding and power failures. And it will undertake a feasibility study to identify the best possible battery technology available.
The start of our actual journey to create clean and renewable power not only on this campus, but what will be implemented across our footprint, not only in South Africa, but across the footprint.